a few days ago, you sent me a clip from TikTok with Epstein talking about philosophy, and I think because of a lot of us have never seen Epstein even talk, to have him talk about philosophy, spirituality, and stuff is a little bit disconcerting, or not necessarily what we'd expect. And out of interest, I actually searched the Epstein files for things like meditation, psychedelics, soul, consciousness, and I think this is an interesting element which doesn't get talked about much. Jeffrey Epstein's like interest in these topics, which obviously people like me would prefer he was not interested in, because it kind of tarnishes that, or it shouldn't. But it's interesting that he was interested in this sort of stuff, because he clearly was very interested in physics, networking with a lot of people at Harvard and people interested in that. So I thought we'd watch 7 minutes from this Epstein interview, which he did with Steve Bannon, which was unreleased until I think it got leaked in the Epstein files. And then we'll go through some of the Epstein files, which actually mention some of this stuff.
And as you say, there is a lot of interesting people that are in the files, not only from prominent political figures, but also a lot of spiritual leaders like Dalai Lama and Deepak Chopra and other people who are in there. And I think you have some emails that include those people, right?
Yeah, certain people are more implicated than others, and probably none of them are directly implicated, but it's interesting he was conversing with these people. So I guess we'll let the audiences make their own judgments about how involved these guys are. But yeah, so we can start with playing this. If you don't want to watch it, I think we're going to play it for about 7 minutes, unless you want to chirp in on something. So we'll play this, and then if you want to skip 7 minutes forward to see the Epstein files related to all this stuff, then feel free to do that. But otherwise, we'll just play the interview.
It's obvious to everyone that there's something different between things that are alive and things that are not alive. But we have no idea what it is. It's currently unexplainable. I believe we need an entirely different system of analysis to try to figure out.
But
Sorry.
No, with Newton, with all his chemical studies and things he worked on the spiritual side, Leibniz had just talked about the soul, Schroeder talked about what it's like. If a modern scientist or someone that you funded at MIT or at Harvard or one of these things talked in those types of terms, they would be considered to be a wingnut today, wouldn't they? They would not be on the path for tenure, right?
Unless they were in the philosophy department.
This is exactly my point. We're talking about three of the greatest mathematicians in mankind's history that have really changed mankind. Talking like this, what happened? How do we get to a situation where they could not be in the high physics, they could not be in the mathematics department or working in high energy physics?
Good, it's an easy answer. Newton was a combination of mathematician or geometer then and philosopher. And as time went on, that those disciplines seemed to move apart. We had philosophy, some of the philosophers can't do math, and some of the mathematicians. And again, mathematicians often break into two categories. People that solve problems, those are more like geometers in the old days, just problem solvers. And then there's thinkers, theoreticians. They're more like the old movement towards philosophy. But neither one of those two groups have been able to figure out why something is alive as opposed to something that's not alive. No one's been able to describe what the soul is, but we all know it exists. And I think what we need is science is a bad word. I think science only describes the things we already know about the physical world. In fact, there's an argument that the physical world that we see has been created out of our systems of mathematics. Mathematics, everyone knows mathematics describes the physical world much greater than it should, unless my view, the physical world really comes out of conscious beings that have mathematics. So they create it. This table appears to you and I to be solid. To a bat, because we have light that's bouncing off the table into our eyes, it appears solid. If instead of eyes that responded to wavelengths of visual light, our eyes responded to radio waves, the radio frequencies, it's not different, it's the same type of frequency as light, but different speeds, the table's invisible. We know that our phone works in this room. So the waves are coming through the windows. The waves are coming through the walls. So the walls are invisible to that type of radiation, that type of energy. The walls are, I can see them because my eyes.
Well, I just pause it there. He seems to be talking about a sort of idealist almost idea of the universe in terms of like very tied into science, although some scientists would disagree with it, but looking at how like giving real world examples for why actually physical things are not as physical as they seem, and maybe actually everything comes out of consciousness. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, continue.
A physical system determines that the walls are there.
You, with Murray Geldman, you founded, or were the original donor, and had the idea of Santa Fe Institute. In 10 or 15 years later, that effort to study the complexity of systems mathematically.
Yes.
Was
It's a
essentially
total failure. Yeah.
A total failure.
Total failure.
Why is that?
It's the failure of science because, in fact, if to some extent science doesn't describe romance, I don't know why I'm attracted to somebody. I don't know. People are attracted to each other, and everyone has the same feeling. They've seen someone walk in the room, and they say, "Oh, that person gives me a creepy feeling."
What? Another deal one? Oh, Monday theorem? Stop it.
Science has tried to describe. Science doesn't describe what creepy feelings means. They just know it's a creepy feeling. I think women, as I said the last time, have an intuitive sense. What is intuitive? They have intuition, they have feelings, and they're able to deal in the realm of things that men, especially men like myself, find unexplainable. Women have intuition. Men see things a bit differently. Men want to measure everything. Women are not really that interested in measuring.
In what you're saying in macro terms, you actually think science, mathematics, maybe ultimately technology is moving to that more intuitive?
I think science and math are old-fashioned. And unfortunately, people are still taught that they have to learn algebra in school and certain things in school, as opposed to learning to have an emotion.
Is this what Larry Summers was trying to get at? Maybe he didn't say it perfectly enough, but what he was trying to get to in that system, the systems we study today, the way mathematics is either taught or understood, that women just haven't gotten up to the highest realms of engineering or physics or mathematics because of that. And you're actually implying that there's a either new branch of science, or we've hit an inflection point like in Newton that's going to go in a Newton took mankind in a different direction because he was able to measure. Then you had subatomic, non-Newtonian physics later. Are you saying that you think there's another developing field that's coming up that may take us, I don't know how many decades to get our hands around, but that's what's evolving out of this?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I think that mathematics, it's not the end of science. Every year someone says it's the end of, we can't discover everything. There's lots to discover with a relationship to the physical world, but we know a lot already. In respect to the unexplainable world, we almost know nothing. Women, again, sense it. And instead of Larry Summers, I won't digress too much, but Howard Gardner early on said, there's not one form of intelligence. It's not mathematical intelligence. There's emotional intelligence, this kinesthetic intelligence. There's this argument that I reject that Black people are less intelligent than white people. It's not true. We know, for example, that if I was in the forest and I had to run from the lion or figure out a way not to be eaten, and my competition is a local African, I'm the one who's getting eaten because they have the intelligence to deal with their local environment. So it's just different. It's not better, it's not worse, but there's many differences amongst different types of people. And so people have different intelligences and they excel in some intelligences usually and less so in others.
When did it come to because the world of high finance is a world of pure reason, or is it a lot of emotion and gut checks and on trading desk and central banks when these decisions get made? Is it that high church, like the high church of science of high energy physics, or is it as much emotion that comes in as much as the mathematics and the reason?
It's a great question. I think if you talk to really experienced and successful traders and you ask them how they know what's going on, they can't give you an answer. They don't know.
Yeah, I thought I'd pause it there. He comes from a background in maths and talking to a lot of prominent mathematicians and physicists, and he seems to have given up to some extent on thinking that everything can be measured, which I'm sympathetic to that argument. I think that it's probably to our detriment to assume that everything can be measured. But yeah, it's an interesting argument. I just wish it wasn't coming from his lips.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have made these sort of arguments before, and it's almost like a god of the gaps, but like science of the gaps in a lot of cases. I don't know. I'm not particularly convinced. Part of me wants to believe that there is things that we cannot measure necessarily, but at the same time, every data we have so far seems to point towards science being able to explain things.
Well, in a way, but I would say everything maybe theoretically could be measured, but practically couldn't. What I mean by that, and Jeffrey Epstein goes on about this throughout the interview, is that financial systems, for example, are complex systems on top of complex systems. It's like he uses the analogy of a body, which is also has complex systems upon complex systems, like the fingers moving, that's a complex system, the heart pumping blood, the lungs, they're all complex systems interweaving with each other. And so theoretically, you could work out what's happening and predict everything that's going to go wrong with the body and exactly when. But that type of intelligence of measuring is impractical to some level. Eventually, for like predicting super complex systems like financial crashes, or how an AI system gets to the correct answer, which it often does, and presumably not through some esoteric means, but just for a very, very complicated means. And that's where intuitive knowledge may actually be a better guide to complex systems, and even things like trading and stuff, and maybe health, like intuition and interpersonal relationship. Intuition maybe is underrated, undervalued in that regard. And I think, I think he goes into it, like some financial traders will actually go more by their intuition, whether they admit it or not. And that's why it's very hard for them to teach someone else, because intuition is something which is very personal.
Yeah.
But I thought we'd delve into so I searched the Epstein files for sort of interesting terms, wondered what will come up. There's actually quite a lot for specifically meditation. I noticed that had quite a lot of emails associated with it. So I thought we'd go through some of that and see what comes up. I haven't read all of it, but let's go and explore. Right, so
Deepak Chopra
is the first one. So he's sending an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying the benefits of meditation, yoga, and vegetables.
And vegetables, okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah, looks above board. But I guess the fact that a lot of these people are sending Jeffrey Epstein stuff implies that he at least has some sort of interest in this. Maybe not. Maybe he's just sending this to every rich person he knows to try and get them on board. But I would, especially looking at what he just said in that interview, I would say.
I mean, yeah, and a lot of people, and I think meditation has become really popular over the years. And a lot of people especially like rich people or like influencers these days talk about meditation and stuff. So it seems to be like a little bit like, not like a craze necessarily, but like something that you should be doing. Everyone who's like looked into stuff like that about wellness and stuff, which have come across meditation. Yeah.
A lot of the CEOs in Silicon Valley, all the tech CEOs.
Yeah, exactly.
Forward-thinking people, a lot of them are very into meditation and all that stuff. So Here's another email from someone, redacted, to Jeffrey Epstein. And he's saying, or whoever sending him is saying, of course, Barbara Carrella's workshops are a good place to start. Orgasms with the Spirit. That sounds like the type of meditation Jeffrey Epstein would be into.
Pun intended.
Yeah. So what else have we got here? So yeah, this guy's just saying, I'm debating going to this workshop. So it's not like Epstein necessarily went holotropic breath work, which is like psychedelic breath work. I would highly recommend sound meditation, holotropic breath work, and other modalities that take you into altered states of consciousness. So it seems like people thought that Epstein would at least be somewhat interested or open to exploring altered states of consciousness, which ties into what he was saying in that interview and his views on physics and nature of reality. So on Saturday, 2018, so this is about a year before he died, I think, Jeffrey Epstein wrote, "Is there a tantric teacher for..." Maybe it's redacted because it's a name. So maybe it's for, like Ghislaine Maxwell or something. I don't know. But it might not be for himself. But at least he was asking for tantric teachers for someone. And a lot of tantra does get a bad rap, or at least an inaccurate rap, in terms of everyone think it's all about sex. But at least, but because of that, there are a lot of tantric practitioners who are very much all about sex, because that's what gets people attracted, and that's what people.
But I thought I mean, I have heard of it in the sexual context, but like isn't tantric like just a form of massage?
There is a form of massage called tantric massage, but tantra is just a school of Buddhism.
Okay.
Which a school of what's it called? A school of Buddhism, which has
is it like meditation of some kind?
It has a array of different practices, and different tantric lineages will have different practices, and also it's in Hinduism as well. So it's Buddhism, Hinduism. Will use tantric practices. Some of them some sexual, some of them a bit esoteric, and some of them quite mainstream, like a meditation and stuff. So that's one email. So this is an email from Deepak Chopra to Jeffrey Epstein, sent to about 2 years before Epstein died. So meditation in virtual reality, it's like French philosophy meets the Matrix. So he's sending him a link to The Guardian, I think, virtual reality meditation Deepak Chopra app. And he's saying, we'll call you at 8 a.m. your time. So they clearly were conversing over email and call, which is at least somewhat interesting.
I haven't heard of meditation with virtual reality. Have you before?
Yeah, I think I might have showed you, because I did have that virtual reality device like 2 years ago, Optimus Quest, which you could put on, and it would give you some sort of immersive meditation, like some sort of like
you did say.
Yeah,
well, you didn't end up using it really.
No. A lot of these things are better, and they're very cool, but also they're not necessarily things you want to use long term. Maybe they are. This is another email from Deepak to Jeffrey Epstein. Great idea. Let's actually go to the bottom of here, so to see the first email. So I'm back Sunday night. This is an email Jeffrey sent to Deepak Chopra saying when he's going to be back. He's sending him, this wellness app uses machine learning to customize your meditation routine. So Epstein was clearly interested in the intersection between technology and spirituality, like, because it's not just a one-way thing. Deepak Chopra is sending him stuff. Jeffrey's actually sending Deepak Chopra stuff. So where we got here? So that's the true meaning of meditation. I won't go into all these articles right now, but it might be interesting to explore them at some point. Like, what exactly are the articles, YouTube videos, and whatever that these guys are sending to each other?
Yeah.
And he says, great idea. Deepak Chopra thinks it's a great idea to combine machine learning and meditation. So that's that.
I mean, yeah.
You want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure if this is like things that Deepak Chopra has written and stuff that he's showing to Epstein, trying to kind of sell himself to him in a way. Because you can say opinion.
Oh, that can't be opened.
It's gone.
Yeah, that couldn't be opened. A lot of these links are.
Oh no, I wasn't the link. But if you went back to it, to the email, like it says.
I think it's actually this one.
Yeah, it just says the link says opinion Chopra article, The True Meaning of Meditation.
Yeah, so yeah, it probably is written by Chopra, so
Yeah.
that's interesting. But he's replying with his own articles. But
Yeah.
the interesting thing is that he's communicating. They're clearly very familiar with each other, chatting with each other well after probably Deepak Chopra knows that Epstein's deeply involved in not such good activities.
Yeah.
But also that Jeffrey Epstein is conversing with Deepak Chopra, sending him stuff which he's interested in related to spirituality. So he clearly did have some sort of interest in spirituality. This is amongst the files, a manual for peace, 38 steps towards enlightened living. Obviously, we don't know where that was, whether that's an email thing sent to him, something he sent to someone else, but it's in the files. So, and there's quite a few examples of those sort of things, booklets and stuff. So this is an email, Mark Fisher. I don't know if you want to Google Mark Fisher, find out who he is, but yeah, so I think he seems to be suffering from some sort of disease here, but and then Epstein replies to him, "For about our conversation, are we meditation?" So we've been talking about meditation. Actually, it's not that hard. Why? A Jewish soul has a very different structure, different ingredients / components, relates to its higher levels differently, has different higher levels. So the fact that they're talking about higher levels and stuff suggests that this is more like an esoteric type of interest in meditation, not necessarily just mindfulness or awareness. And it's interesting, he talks about the Jewish soul somehow different to other types of souls. I don't know if that's a
what does that even mean? Yeah,
Jewish
because
supremacy sort of argument, or it's just maybe that just Buddhists and Jews, for instance, work in different ways, and there's not like one which is better than the other. But interesting.
Yeah, that was one of the emails I found because I typed soul in, and that's what popped out first, and I was like, "What Jewish soul? What is he on about?"
Yeah, I guess it's what it says on the tin. It's a soul in a Jewish person, like so. Yeah, so the email continues, relates to itself and other people in different manner than a non-Jewish soul, to use repair methods / meditation. So I guess he sees meditation as like a repair method for the soul. On something as sensitive as the soul requires the right tools. You can't fix an Aston Martin with a full pickup truck tool set. With the right meditation, it isn't so hard. So the whole idea is that different meditations serve different purposes or different personalities, and they sort of see meditation or different meditations are different tools to fix the soul. Make of that what you will. So this is a email, much redacted down here, but got Chopra Institute as a subject line, and anti-inflammation initiative, and Lady Gaga just led a meditation over Instagram. My intention is to provide a forum for all of us to connect around the world as a calling for world peace and inner peace. Gaga explained, "We are one body. I believe we can calm inflammation in the earth by calming each other." It's interesting. That's another an analogy, like Epstein used the body as an analogy for financial system. Lady Gaga's using it as an analogy for all of humanity. Okay, what else we got here? She is my student, and onto it. So Deepak Chopra sharing or boasting that she's one of his students. So interesting. What else have we got here? Some of these things are only one-page things. Something sent to Jeffrey Epstein, taking someone to a breath / sound meditation experience on Friday. So the fact that Jeffrey Epstein is interesting. A lot of these emails are kind of late, so it might suggest that Jeffrey Epstein got more and more interested in these sort of spirituality.
It does seem to be, that these are quite, as you say, towards the end, more than like the earlier years. Like it's not like early 2010s or something. Most of them are late, like 2016 to 2018.
Yeah. So that may or may not be significant. But yes, Jeffrey Epstein taking someone to a breath sound meditation. So yeah, that's something. And he's put a smiley face, and he probably was going to it himself because he was taking someone there. So he clearly was kind of interested enough to share it with people. What else have we got here? So this is an email from Deepak Chopra to, I don't know who to, from Deepak Chopra to Jeffrey Epstein, sharing privately all love. So he's sharing this, forwarding on this email to, I guess he's emailing his foundation about whatever's in there. I'm going to just skip on to the next one, but that may or may not be interesting. So this one is another one from Mark Fisher. So it says, his email to Jeffrey: I've been meaning to send you an email for a while. In a previous email, I mentioned the meditation techniques that don't fit the frame of a Jewish soul. Will always be hard. With that said, music is the language of a soul, and you, Jeffrey, are a pretty talented musician. So it seems like here, Mark Fisher is suggesting that Jeffrey Epstein instead try music as meditation and lean into his proclivity as a talented musician, apparently. So it says you can do this at the piano or anywhere else you choose, which is interesting. You can do this at the piano or anywhere else you choose, because it suggests that you can play the music yourself, or you can do it somewhere else where there isn't a piano. I'm attaching a YouTube clip with a good tune. The melody comes in after 2 minutes like that. So it's a Jewish song. I actually couldn't. I don't think this YouTube link didn't work anymore. So that video's been taken down, but there are similar videos, so it might well have just been, some piano tutorial for that. But the fact that he could do it away from the piano suggests maybe it wasn't just that. But just listening to music.
Well, what do you think is the meaning between music is the language of the soul?
Well, a lot of philosophers and people have said that over the years. And like, in a way, if you think about the laws of music, very much like the laws of physics, at least in the fact that
there is mathematics,
proportions, geometry, and in the way they both predate the universe, in the fact that the universe is built on the laws of physics, and presumably, theoretically, you could have composed Mozart's symphonies straight out the gate as soon as the universe big banged, if you're of that view that it was a big bang, because the laws of music where else would have the laws of music come into existence? The practicalities of actually making a song may have been a human thing, but the fact that a beautiful song could be made is something which predates the universe, or at least starts with the universe. That's my best theory. And Jeffrey Epstein is interesting. He's in that interview we saw is talking about how we can't, physics, they can't really explain why a song is beautiful. So this email says, just riff with the music, riff with this musically and say or sing the words. So I guess that's why you could do it on piano or not, because it's a singing meditation, or at least a chanting meditation. There's nothing spiritually higher than "Hear Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one," or in other words, the oneness of God. So it seems like Jewish in context, but in terms of that's not necessarily specifically Jewish. So it seems like Jeffrey Epstein was coming maybe from a Jewish background, but actually, like, the idea of the oneness of God is something which fits in very much with his idea of physics. And I think, as we'll see in some other emails, the idea of non-duality and monism, which he seems to have been a fan of, as many people from a scientific proclivity who go into spirituality will be a fan of that sort of view of religion. I will give you more building blocks and add-ons to your meditative pleasure. Please email me your Hebrew name and your mother's Hebrew name, I presume, maybe because that's what's going to go in this guided meditation that Mark Fisher is going to make for Jeffrey Epstein. My best theory, I don't know. Unless you got any thoughts, I'll go on to the next one.